Welcome into another episode of a new era of the Bleav in Twins podcast, episode whatever. I'm Anders Pryor alongside Zac Tipton with a new backdrop.
New backdrop, new location,
New
new
location.
job. We're
Uh,
doing everything different.
we're doing everything new, completely new era. Zac, I know that we guys, we finally have stuff to talk about. We've missed you guys. I know that towards the kind of end of when we were doing our episodes, we were making jokes about how the Twins weren't doing anything, about how they weren't spending any money. And then a month went by and they literally did not spend a cent. So
Facts.
those
We
jokes
did make a trade, though. We did make a trade.
trade, made a trade, but literally we're not spending a single cent. But now some stuff has started to come through, and
Derek Falvey woke up.
yeah, and we decided that this would be kind of a good time to sort of get back in. Obviously, we have a very substantial piece of NBA news, obviously.
Also, we are kind of getting closer to spring training.
Yes.
As well. I believe pitchers and catchers report in like a week or two.
I was gonna say, I believe it's the 12th. That I know that the first team, I think the Cubs report on the 9th. That's the first team, and then I think the Rays and the Dodgers report on the 11th, and then all the other teams report on the 12th and 13th.
Yeah. I think that's about right. But I'm really excited.
I'm excited
season's
too.
Going to start. I kind of am curious. I think me and Anders are trying to get. Here's what's going on, guys. My name is Zac Tipton. For those of you that don't know, that name has not changed. Everything else has changed.
Yes.
I took a job as the graduate assistant for athletic communications at Black Hills State University in South Dakota, back in my hometown. So I have officially moved from Arizona. I am no longer in the Valley. I am in the Black Hills, and I am very cold. But I am back. Also, that's another reason why we've been struggling is because, to be honest, I've been trying to figure out my work schedule to try to figure out times that we could do the podcast, which is why we've been struggling to post recently. Is I've just been so busy trying to figure out what my work schedule is going to look like. To find times to do this with Anders. Like, this is like very close to about as close of range as we could possibly figure out with how Anders has to go. How Anders, I kind of had things planned tonight, and I got off work about 15 minutes ago. So we've been trying to figure out things as well. We're trying to get back into doing this more often. We'll try to find times that work. I don't know if it'll be a consistent schedule, but it will be try to do it like once a week again. We'll try to get back on that until the season starts. Then maybe we'll try to figure out times to do it more than once a week.
Right.
We will see.
And obviously, as we get closer to the season, we're going to have more relevant things to talk about, and that'll kind of force a hand in terms of like feeling
100%
towards certain things.
100%. We are very excited to kind of be back talking about the Twins, talking about news from the Twins, a couple big pieces. But before we start with that, a kind of big trade, small, actually, it might be a kind of big trade in the NBA happened this week. Some are calling it the most shocking trade in NBA history, and some are calling it the most shocking trade in sports history. Anders, would you agree with both of these titles?
So in case you've been living under a rock or were asleep and decided that you needed a social media break the night before, Luka Doncic was traded to the Lakers along with, I believe, the specifics of the package. I think the Lakers are receiving from Dallas Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris.
Yep, that's true.
And then Dallas is receiving Anthony Davis, Max Christie, a 2029 first-round pick, which I believe is unprotected, And then the Utah Jazz are also like a part of this trade. They receive Jalen. I think it was just to make the cap work. They received Jalen Hood-Schifino from the Lakers to get his contract off of the books, and then they get 2 second-round picks, one from Dallas and one from the Clippers via someone else. That's the full package.
That is a full package.
I would call this and obviously like the whole like big trades discussion is you're seeing a lot of articles about it now. I would refer to this as the most shocking sports transaction. No, I would call this the most, what I can definitively say, this is the most shocking NBA transaction of the 21st century, because I think the two trades that I think rival this in terms of just the breadth of like the significance of the pieces being moved and everything are Wilt Chamberlain being traded from the Milwaukee Bucks to the Lakers in, I think it was 1975, and then the then San Francisco Warriors being trading Wilt Chamberlain to the 76ers in, I'm pretty sure it was 1965. Those are the two that I would say are kind of the biggest ones, like all time. And then, but then if you include all time, though, this to me would go third, because there's a lot of others that I think are very notable. Obviously, you have Shaq going to Miami, getting traded to Miami. You have Clyde Drexler being traded from the Trailblazers to the Rockets. Earl Monroe being traded to the Knicks. And then obviously, you have some more like recent ones too. Pau Gasol, Memphis to the Lakers. Kevin Garnett, Timberwolves to the Celtics. So that's what I would kind of chalk this up as. I think aside from those two trades that happened, 50, 60 years ago, this tops just about everything.
I agree. So I was sitting in my bed that night and I was trying to write an article for my new job on the softball games that happened earlier that day for my school. And I got the notification from Shams that Luka had been traded for Anthony Davis. And I'm like, immediate thought, and I think it's immediate thought of most people, was Shams got hacked. And it's one of the most insane hacks ever. And then you start getting more people confirming it, and you're realizing this is real.
Right.
And to be honest, it makes zero sense, in my opinion, for anyone involved. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me for the Mavericks, obviously, because it's like, what are you doing? I mean, it's the most, like, there has to be something more going on in the Mavericks organization that you just don't really know, but there has to be something else going on.
In a week, The Athletic's going to have some sort of hit piece, and we're going to learn something probably.
Yeah, there's guys that know what's going on. For the Lakers, it's an interesting trade, in my opinion, for the Lakers. For them, on the one side, they have no defense whatsoever this season. Right. Their defense is gone. Anthony Davis was their defense. Okay. So it doesn't really feel like a win now move.
Right.
Which is weird when you're considering it's Luka Doncic you're bringing in. Right. It doesn't really feel like a win now move because it's like defensive piece.
Rob Pelinka doing the due diligence, not being an idiot, and saying yes to Luka Doncic for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. And the second thing is like, you got to think now, like, LeBron's going to retire soon. At some point, LeBron will retire. I know it feels like he can play forever, but at some point, most likely either after this season or next season, I assume LeBron will retire. And now you have a franchise player that is going to be the face of the biggest franchise in sport, one of the biggest franchises in sports for the next 10 years.
Yep.
And you're going to have something to build around while also not giving up any picks that you really needed to, that you could have given up.
Right. They didn't even, and I think Rob Pelinka's pretty bad at his job personally, but I will give him credit for not having to fork over both of the first that he was able to.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. This team's going to be good. This team will be good again. Like, this team might not like make it this year because their defense just isn't at a championship level.
Do you think that they're capable of winning a playoff series? Because with Anthony,
it depends on who they face.
With Anthony Davis, who I think would be considered by most people to be a very likely selection for all defensive first team. They were 21st in total defense, and now he's gone. So I don't know if you can really.
Here's the thing: there's only a few teams I think they'd actually like succeed against, right? Like, I think if they played a team that maybe wasn't a great offensive team, was really good defensively, maybe like the Wolves this year, they could beat the Wolves possibly, because we've seen Luka against the Wolves; he can score. I don't know though. Personally, like, I don't think they win a series because I just think defense is so important, which makes sense why the Mavs brought in Anthony Davis, right? Because he is a defensive piece.
Yeah.
But you lost Luka, which was like the key to your offense. And here's the thing: Kyrie and AD is a fun duo, but they're not gonna win you games.
Right.
They're not gonna win you 4 straight games in a postseason.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It feels like a lose to the Mavs, and it feels like a win for the Lakers, obviously. But for this season alone, it feels like a lose-lose.
Sure. No, I think that's smart. The thing that I think Max Christie's a plus defender as well. But like here's the issue for me is like, okay, so obviously Nico Harrison, and I'm actually writing something on this right now, actually. Nico Harrison didn't just want any kind of just generic superstar or like any player that he could get his hands on that was all-star caliber. He wanted Anthony Davis specifically because
that is 100% true.
So because of that, the Lakers were the only team that he reached out to. But if I were him, I would have, just for due diligence, have like put out, hey, we want to trade Luka because we're worried about his conditioning, and see what other teams were willing to give you. I guarantee you, like the Rockets would have been willing to give up a lot. I think the Grizzlies would have been able to give up a lot. I think the Cavs would have been able to offer pieces. I'm not saying that these teams would necessarily want to. If anything, I think for a lot of these teams, it's actually smart to stay packed, but they would have, I guarantee you, expressed interest. I think, but even if they don't, if other teams just put out packages, whoever that is, at the bare minimum, like, you could have raised the price for the Lakers instead of getting, Davis, Christie in an unprotected first 4 years from now. You could have gotten like Dalton Connect. You could have gotten like Austin Reeves. You could have forced that. You could have essentially, hey, like, we're going to take this other offer if you don't give us both firsts or something.
And I find it absolutely insane to me that it feels like everyone but Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison were out of the loop.
Right.
That's what it feels like, right? Because LeBron definitely wasn't in the loop. Luka definitely wasn't in the loop. Jason Kidd himself, they said, wasn't in the loop.
Yeah.
And Jason Kidd's your head coach of your team.
Yeah.
Like, and he wasn't in the loop that you were going to trade your star player.
I think at the conference that they implied, Kidd said that he learned that those conversations were happening like 45 minutes before the trade happened.
Yeah. And like, it's like, and it really didn't feel like, so there's got to be something else going on.
Yeah.
especially in Dallas. I've heard rumors that Dallas wants to maybe move to Las Vegas, and this was a step in that direction.
Mm.
I've heard rumors that Nico Harrison wants out of his current position, and so this was his way of sabotaging the team.
Mm.
And I've heard rumors that it was all about Luka and his conditioning and that. Whatever the rumor is, there is a rumor that we're not knowing. There is something happening behind those doors in Dallas that caused this trade, because this makes no sense from any perspective you can possibly say.
Yeah.
So Anders, that leads me to my second question, which is a question I wanted to ask. So you can tie this back in MLB a little bit. What is your MLB comparison
Yes.
for this trade?
Yes.
I will go first. This is my current MLB comparison, so I'm saying current also.
Yep.
This to me is like the Royals trading Bobby Witt Jr. for Corbin Burns because they think pitching wins championships. That's to me what this trade would be my MLB comparison. It'd be the Royals trading Bobby Witt Jr. for Corbin Burns.
So The Athletic did a list of like literally this exact question. What would be the MLB equivalents for this trade? Now, the one that I said before this list came out that I was telling other people was that this feels very Ronald Acuna for Garrett Cole. That's what this kind of feels like, which was one of the ones that The Athletic ended up saying. That was like my immediate reaction. But they had a full list. So they had that. They put Bobby Witt Jr. for Mike Trout as one of them.
I kind of think it has to be. I think it has to be hitting for pitching.
Sure.
That's what my opinion is.
The other two that they put forward were Gunnar Henderson for Bryce Harper.
Not really.
And then the other one that I thought was weird, which doesn't make any sense at all, I don't think, is Paul Skeens for Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, no.
Just because deGrom is not really present or anything.
Yeah, no, I don't think this has it in because deGrom's not the same level that Anthony Davis was in this trade.
No.
And Paul Skeens is probably a good choice. I'd be okay with the Paul Skeens thing, but to me, it'd be like more like a Paul Skeens being traded for Bryce Harper, or like a Paul Skeens being traded for Mike Trout. Yeah. That to me would be like a more specific trade, because I think you have to go either hitting for pitching or pitching for hitting. And so that would be my opinion there. But I'm going to stick with my my Bobby Witt for Corbin Burns would be my choice.
Sure.
And I've seen that from a few people.
Right.
I kind of am just still in shock from it though, Anders. I don't know if you are still in shock from it, because it was out of nowhere too, right?
Like a video game trade. It feels like a 2K trade.
It also just feels like a trade that no one in the world even knew was coming. Like, had you ever in your life heard rumors that Luka was considered to be traded ever?
No.
I don't think we've ever heard those rumors ever.
I heard things about like Davis, like here and there, like every now and then. That was more back when he was a little more injury prone. Over the past year and a half, he's become more healthy. But like when he was being rumored as like a person that could be traded, like in total fairness, like one of those teams that people were talking about was Dallas.
And here's the thing, though. I don't think Luka would have been part of that. Luka would never been part of that package, though. No one was ever going to think Dallas was going to trade Luka. If anything, they were like, Luka's going to be partnered with Anthony Davis. That's the goal.
Yeah.
And it's just like, to me, it feels like Dallas had to go after Anthony Davis first. Like, Dallas had to call the phone of Pelinka and be like, we want Anthony Davis. We're willing to throw in Luka. Right. Like, that's for me, like, what it had to have been. Is like, because here's the thing, the Lakers are never going to suggest Luka in the trade. Like, that would never been. I doubt the Lakers would ever themselves even put like Luka in the trade.
Yeah.
like the Lakers I would right now not to even go for other pieces, but not Luka Doncic.
Right, you say, hey, we want Anthony Davis, and we'll give you PJ Washington, we'll give you PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, Jaden Hardy, Spencer Dinwiddie,
and picks if we have any. I don't even know if they have picks.
Yeah.
And so like that's what you'd think the trade would even look to. And so the fact that Luka Doncic was traded, it's like the Dallas had to be the one that threw Luka in the trade to begin with. Because I'm sorry, LA would never have asked for Luka in return.
No one. That's why there's never been rumors, because no one's been bothered enough to pick up the phone and call, because the assumed answer was no.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so for the fact that Luka is in this trade is nuts.
That's why I want to shy away from giving Pelinka too much credit, because it doesn't take a super smart person to say yes to a decade of Luka Doncic.
No, absolutely not. Heck, as a GM, I wouldn't have cared what I had to give up. I would have said yes to anything if Luka Doncic was on the table.
Right.
At this point.
Yeah.
So then
I would have been willing to give up AD and LeBron for Luka.
Honestly, yeah.
If he was already signed to the Supermax.
80 and Luka for like 80 and LeBron for like Luka and another first or whatever it was. Even 80, and you probably could have gotten that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough NBA. We do have to get to MLB here now, because the Twins have made moves, guys. I repeat, the Twins have made moves. We almost made a move about a week ago, and we got really excited as Twins fans when we thought we had a trade, and we didn't. Or we had a move, and we didn't. Anders, do you remember this moment? Do you remember this moment?
I don't believe I do.
You don't remember this moment? Oh my gosh.
Refresh me?
I will 100%. John Heyman tweeted out Ryan Barucki to the Twins. That was all he tweeted out, was Ryan Barucki to the Twins. Every Twins fan on the earth was somehow on Twitter at the same time and got really excited because the Twins finally made a move and got Ryan Barucki. I click on the post. It then is changed to, correction, Ryan Barucki to the Pirates. And every single Twins fan was like, you gotta be kidding me. We had life for a quick second. It was literally like a few minutes later when he did that too. So it was just like, you gotta be kidding me. So yeah, no, Ryan Barucki is a Pirate. He is not a Twin. But then we finally got the news that honestly was kind of one of the moves I was expecting we'd make. And so I am glad we did it. The Twins then signed I believe this was Monday, Danny Coulombe, who was the Orioles' left-handed reliever. He was a former Twin about 4 years ago. He opted out of his contract with the Twins. I went as a free agent. Baltimore signed him, and he has been very good for Baltimore. If you want to look up his stats, I will have them right here for you. Danny Coulombe in the last 2 years of Baltimore, it's very similar. In his last 2 years of Baltimore, he went 61 game pitch in 2023 with 51.1 innings, 2.81 ERA in 2023 with 58 strikeouts and 51 innings. Really good for lefty reliever. He was a really good player. He had a 1.2 WAR. Last year, he had a little bit of injuries, so he only played in 33 games. Had 29.2 innings pitched, 2.12 ERA, with 32 strikeouts and 29.2 innings. Basically, he's been very good as a lefty reliever, which, as me and Anders spoke, like, I don't remember how many episodes ago it was, the biggest need for the Twins, one of the biggest needs for the Twins was a lefty reliever.
Right.
That was the only major hole we had, because Caleb Thielbar entered free agency. He is now signed elsewhere. And we had no lefties in our bullpen besides Cody Funderburk, and Cody Funderburk was not a reliable lefty bullpen guy.
Right now, Coulombe is the only left-handed reliever. No, only left-handed pitcher on the roster.
Yeah.
Because it's Duran, Jack, Sands, Stewart, Alcala, Tonkin, and Castellano are all righties.
And fun fact, Coulombe is from Chaparral High School in Scottsdale, Arizona. Shout out to Z.
Yeah.
But Danny Coulombe was a huge pickup. I said this on the beginning. This was a guy they had to get back. He was with the Twins. Like I said, he was with the Twins from 2020 to 2022. He pitched in 12.1 innings, had a 1.46 ERA with 9 strikeouts, and had a 3.67 ERA with 34 innings pitched, 33 strikeouts in 2021. So he was very good for us, and he was looking good as well before he opted out of his contract. And then the Orioles picked him up, and like I said, he's been very good with them for the last 2 years. And so we got him for a 1 year, I believe it was $3 million deal, which is just a solid bullpen piece to already kind of load up our stacked bullpen.
Right.
For those of you that don't realize it, the Twins bullpen is still ranked like number 1 in the AL or number 2 in the AL. If you look at bullpen rankings here, like MLB bullpen rankings, if you look at MLB bullpen rankings, on like covers.com, sure, we'll look at covers.com. I mean, I'm trying to look them up here. MLB team bullpen. I mean, the Twins are just up there. Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And so it is fun because we get to love that and kind of celebrate our bullpen a bit. But we'll see. We'll see how things go there. And I'm really excited about our bullpen. And then right when it kind of felt like we were done.
Yeah.
Actually, wait. The Twins, yeah, here it is actually. The Twins are actually going to be one of the top like 2 bullpens in baseball this year.
Along with
Fangraphs had them tied with the Brewers for the number 4 bullpen. I'm not sure who we're behind, but we're the number 4 ranked bullpen. And now we add Danny Coulombe. I just think you're really excited for this bullpen.
Left-handed versatility that we really need.
Yeah, that was something we really needed there, and I'm really excited for it. Then, when you think we're done, the Twins actually show they might actually have some money in the tank. And they went out today and signed Harrison Bader for $6.25 million. Anders, would you like to talk about Harrison Bader for a little bit?
Yes. So this to me is a really Bader was like, was on the list of like, you see a lot of like baseball pages will like post these graphics of like free agents that like you didn't realize are still out there. And like Bader usually made that list. But I think it's a really solid signing. Obviously Bader is regarded as one of the, the 3 or 4 best defensive center fielders in baseball. And his speed, I don't know. I don't have his Savant immediately in front of me. We love Savant on this show.
I have it up. What do you want to know?
But his speed metrics are very at the top of the.
He's at 74% sprint speed.
74% speed.
74% spin speed. His fielding, his range is 95%.
Yep.
His arm value is 70% percentile, and his arm strength is 86 percentile.
Yeah. So he's a double plus defender in center field, and I think that range, the 95 range, is the most important because of just we talked about. Target field is a bigger park with a bigger field. And so guys with that kind of range are really important and are really key to have in home stretches, especially amongst teams that have high slugging percentages.
And his bat isn't great, but He is better against lefties, which is also another hole we had was we needed some left-handed people that could hit lefties, and Bader can hit lefties.
Yeah.
And that's huge for us.
His bat, to me, because he is a former Yankee, during his time on the Yankees, because he did struggle with the bat sometimes when he was in the Bronx, but I always felt that his level of defense always justified him being in the lineup, and was always never made me shy away from, like, I know his bat was underwhelming, but his defense always more than compensated for it, I personally felt.
No, I agree with that as well. I definitely agree with that as well. But I'm really excited about this move personally, just to add another outfield depth piece, because that's something we were really struggling with on the Twins rotation. If you look at the Minnesota Twins 40-man roster, let me pull it up here. I should have had it open, but I do not. If you look at the Twins 40-man roster, then you would see that our outfielders on the 40-man are Byron Buxton, Austin Martin, Trevor Larnach, and Matt Wallner are 4 guys that are going to be major league guys. You also have Michael Hellman, Deshaun Kersey, and Emmanuel Rodriguez, who are guys that will start the season in AAA. But we only had 4 outfielders on our 28 man. On our active roster, I guess is the name of it. On our active roster, we only have 28. And so it really is a little scary, because you're like, we kind of need another defender, because to be honest with you, I don't trust Austin Martin as a defensive back outfielder, right? And you lose your best defensive outfielder. One of your best defensive outfielders, Max Kepler, this offseason. You needed defensive help at outfield. And I think personally, I think Harrison Bader is the perfect fit for what we needed in the free agency. Was a defensive outfielder and a left-handed reliever, and now we've got 2 of those.
Yeah.
We got both of those. So I'm really excited about this move, Anders. I'm really excited the Twins made a move.
Yeah.
And open up the wallets a little bit, try to get somebody good in Bader. Now I believe we are at the time where the only team in baseball has not spent a single dime in free agency is the St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking the Rockies for a second, but they got Tyro Estrada.
No, I looked it up. It was the St. Louis Cardinals are the only team in baseball that have not spent a single dime this season. They were with the Twins, but the Twins have now officially done something.
There was a point where there was 8 of them.
Yeah.
But now,
and it's kind of cool to see a big move happening on the. It's gonna seem, but I see a free agency move happen that does not include the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yes.
Because I feel like every single move in free agency so far has included the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Right.
Although, am I wrong in thinking Toronto just made a move recently?
They got Scherzer. They've had a quietly productive offseason, because I know a lot of people were very quick to make fun of the Blue Jays for winning the award for being in or winning to be in on guys competition. And I know that there's the Max Scherzer signing has a lot of hope kind of twined into it. But I do think that Anthony Santander and Jeff Hoffman are both very substantive moves. Obviously, they traded away Spencer Horwitz to the Pirates, which was significant. But they've had a decently productive offseason, I think. But not all of the stuff that they've been rumored to be in on for a month now.
Okay. So I did here's a report from Dan Hayes that says, heard last week from the Minnesota Twins that they had $5 to $6 million to spend on payroll. In the past 2 days, they spent 9.25. So they did go over what Dan Hayes believed to be their budget.
budget, yeah.
So I would find it very unlikely that the Twins make another move. This might be it for moves from the Twins. As much as we wish they wouldn't, this might be it. With that being said, Anders, I've taken up a lot of your time, but we have one last thing to do here, Anders, which is make our Super Bowl predictions.
Yes.
Because it is Super Bowl week, I will not be watching the Super Bowl because I am boycotting. And by that, I actually mean my stepmom it's my stepmom's birthday, and so I'm going out to dinner with her at a place that doesn't really have good cell service or Wi-Fi, so I will not be actually able to check the score at all while we are there. So I will actually be technically not like watching the Super Bowl. But with that being said, I am rooting for the meteor. But I am rooting for the meteor. But
rooting for the aliens for the death beam.
Yeah, for the death beam. But anyway, Anders, let's start with it. Anders, what is your Super Bowl prediction, and why do you make that?
I'm picking the Eagles here. Just because, one, we've seen, like I forget off the top of my head exactly how like Joe Mixon did against them, but we saw what happened outdoors with James Cook and what he did to the Chiefs defense. And so I do think that the kind of the process of Saquon just slowly raveling himself out into the game, it won't look any different from any of the other games we've seen because he's done it this year against defenses better than the Chiefs. So I think that'll be a big part of it. I think that even we obviously don't know the health of Dickerson and Jurgens with stuff with his back. Like it's all kind of
he's good to go.
He's good to go. Okay. So
that just got announced.
So I personally am not super worried about. I know some people are very worried about the offensive line injuries.
Both Dickerson and Jurgens were each full go of practice this week today.
So then even more. So I think the offensive line will be able to hold its own against the Chiefs' defensive line. It won't be a complete mismatch. Hurts, I think, will get sacked at least once. But I do think that they'll be able to hold it. And also, just personally, I think that the Philadelphia pass catchers, which I'm including Saquon in that because he can catch the ball. He has this year. Outdo the Chiefs defensive backs. Because last year in the Super Bowl, they had not Charvarius. Was it who was the one that went to the Titans? Was that Charvarius Ward? No. Who was that?
Where would I go?
Darius Sneed.
Yeah.
They had L'Jarius Sneed in the last Super Bowl. They don't here. So I think the skill position group for the Philly will be too overpowering for the Chiefs defensive backs. And so I think Philly is going to win I think it'll be a very similar like high scoring kind of tandem the way it was last time in the previous Super Bowl. I'll call Philly wins. I'll say 34-30.
Okay, I think that's way too high scoring in my opinion. I'm going to go lower scoring. I'm actually going to say this. You have two teams that are probably two of the best defenses in football. Maybe 1 and 2 defensively in football. And I think you have probably, in my opinion, 1 and 2 O-lines in football. Whatever way you want to put it, I think these two teams are the top 2 O-lines in football. So then that comes down to who do you trust more? The Philadelphia offense or the Kansas City Chiefs offense? And as much as I'm willing to say, I think the Philadelphia offense with Saquon is crazy. I'm gonna lean Pat Mahomes in this game simply because he's Pat Mahomes, and the Chiefs just know how to play in Super Bowls. Like, they know how to win. I think Steve Spagnuolo is gonna have an insane game plan cooked up. I think I don't trust the Eagles defense to have an insane game plan cooked up, if you know what I mean. It's like, I think they're good, but I don't think the game plan will be there to stop the Chiefs passing attack. And I do believe the Chiefs run the ball here a little bit. I believe they run the ball well. Is my opinion. I think they're not as good, like they don't have Saquon, right? But I believe that the tandem the Chiefs boost with the run game can do damage. And they've shown that in previous Super Bowls, where the run games have been very strong in previous Super Bowls, despite not having the greatest running backs. And so I think that is the case. And so for me, I find it very hard to bet against the Chiefs in a Super Bowl. I find it very hard to bet against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl. And I find it really hard to personally just bet on the Eagles. I don't trust Nick Sirianni as a coach. I really don't. I'm sorry. That's how it is.
Mm-hmm.
I am a very big hater of the Saints' new head coach, or I guess technically not been announced yet, but the Saints' new head coach. I'm a very big hater of him. I know Anders has a man crush on him and wishes he was.
I'm the conductor of the Kellen Moore fan train.
He is. I am a big hater of Kellen Moore. I do not trust Kellen Moore. I think the Eagles underperform what they should in the Super Bowl. And for that reason, I'm going to say I think the Chiefs win 27-24. That's my prediction. Or actually, no, 28-24 is my prediction. I also think the kicker battle is very different. Jake Elliott's been very bad.
Yes, that is
Eagles. And I think that could cost them in this game. Because I think the Chiefs are very good at not allowing touchdowns and holding teams to field goals. And so if the Eagles have to take field goals in this game, do I trust Jake Elliott to make all of them? No. I just don't. And so that is my opinion on that. Do I think Saquon has a 60-plus yard touchdown run? Yes, I'm gonna say yes to that. But do I think that I think Jalen Hurts becomes very human in this game? I will also admit I'm not a big fan of Jalen Hurts. I think he gets overrated a lot as QB. I don't think he can succeed in this against the Spag defense. And I just don't trust it. And to be honest, he's had a pretty easy road to get here, in my opinion. They faced who did they face? They faced the Packers in the first round, which has no defensive line to speak against. The defensive line of the Green Bay is one of the worst defensive lines in football, and it showed. That's an easy one for the Eagles. If the Eagles are going up against a bad D line, the Eagles win every time. So for me, it very comes down to, I think the Eagles have had a very easy road to get here because they beat the Packers in round 1. They beat the Rams in round 2, who again don't have a great D line. Yes, they have some kind of young stars on that team. I think Jared Verse is obviously a star, but he's young and they really haven't had a great season D line wise with the Rams this year, besides a couple of games. And then they face the Lions, they face the Commanders, who have no defense. So to me, they face 3 bad defenses to get to the Super Bowl. And I think they would face their first great defense this weekend. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm picking against the Eagles. I'm going with the Chiefs. But that's my prediction. Anders, do you have anything else you would like to say? Any comments against my argument?
Not real. I mean, I do agree. I think they have both. The Chiefs, I think they have the quarterback advantage and the coach advantage pretty starkly, I think. But I think everything else is either everything else Philly either to me has a marginal advantage or a significant advantage. And so I think that, I think Philly is going to be able to run the ball really effectively. I think Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis will be able to keep the run contained enough. I don't think they're going to hold them to 60 total rushing yards or anything, but I think, but I do think that they'll contain it enough, and I think Philly will hold it. And as you can hear,
is that the siren that ends our show, Anders? I think it might
be. Yeah,
I think it might be. Once again, guys, thank you all for listening. If you are still with us, I know it's been a long break, but if you're still with us, thank you for listening. We really enjoy this. We hope to bring it back on a more consistent basis. Again, sorry for the long break in between the last couple episodes. I really hope you guys can give me a little bit of leeway because I was moving and I was trying to get started with a new job and everything.
Yep.
I guess give me a little bit of leeway there. And then that's really all we have for today's show. Anders, would you like to sign us off?
Absolutely. God, I can't wait. We're so back. It's insane.
We are so back.
We're so back. I keep telling people all the time, I always love baseball is of all of the sensations of like feeling a sport coming right around the corner, baseball's the best of the big three just because of the weather and all of the romantics behind it. It's great. I love it. But I will happily sign us off. This has been the Bleav in Twins podcast on the Bleav Network alongside Zac Tipton. I have been Anders Pryor. You can go and download all of our content on the Bleav.com website. You can go listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you consume your sports media throughout the week. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, turn on post notifications, like, and leave a comment down below. Go Twins. Zac, great to see you. Go Black Hill State too.
Absolutely. Go Yellow Jackets.
Absolutely. And we will see you guys soon.
Yes.